Hi, you may remember this image. I did it for the first month of Patreon, and it was based on this idea of doing Abe Lincoln as a member of a band, basically, or somebody who's interested in doing riffs on his guitar. I just wanted to do something abstract and bizarre. Anyway, the whole point was to just start the process of showing you what the Celebrity Sunday Poser was about. Now, this basically popped an idea into my head, and as you can see here, I got this idea of making a series of famous presidents, basically the ones on Mount Rushmore, and make them into a band. So Abraham Lincoln would be the bass guitarist or the guitarist, and so forth. Now what we have to do is then move on and do the other members of the band. Now obviously there's 4 altogether, and the next one was selected as Theodore Roosevelt. Now I've been looking at some pictures of Theodore Roosevelt. There he is. Okay. Now he's very kind of eccentric in the way he looks and everything, and I suggested to the voting public what would you want him to be doing, playing the drums, playing a keyboard, or being the lead singer, and it was voted that he was going to be doing the keyboard. So the next Celebrity Sunday Poser is going to be the next member of the Rushmore, which is going to be Theodore Roosevelt. Now, as you see, I've got several pictures of him set up so I can see what it looks like. And in the process of doing the research, I also had a look at some of the possible poses I could look for. So I'm looking for some guy. Now the thing about the original, this one, is he's actually not actually in the band playing, it's just a portrait of him. So what I want to do for the first stage is to actually do a set of images of each band member sitting with their instruments. So I don't want them actually playing like they're in a band. And then next, the 5th one will be the actual group, the Rushmores, with each member of the band there playing their instrument. So what I wanted to do is look for a picture of somebody playing, well, not playing a piano or keyboard, but sitting at the keyboard, really like they're actually being posed for a portrait or something. So I found some images of several different people sitting at pianos, like so. Now this one's quite interesting because it's roughly, well, it's not actually roughly, but it's a little bit around the time Theodore Roosevelt was around, maybe a bit later. Okay, but it's got the same kind of look to his jacket that Theodore Roosevelt would have had. Now what I want to do is sit him at an electronic piano, not a grand piano, because that's what they would use in a band. Okay, so the first stage would be to probably take the bottom part of these legs, which I really like, stick them onto the bottom top part of this person here, the middle section there, because I really like his folds of his clothes and everything, and then put this guy on top. So I would have to then build in the jacket that he's wearing, okay, and position the hands. One's on the keyboard, and maybe this one's going to be holding something, I don't know. So I'm going to figure it out. So I want to use these 3 pictures as reference, and then draw the caricature of Theodore Roosevelt onto this head, basically, playing a piano. Okay, so that will be the next stage to explain and discuss how I do that. Hi, as I said in the first part of the video, I'm going to be using a set of 3 images to build up Theodore Roosevelt's body, so we can actually make him sitting at the piano, which was the instrument of choice. And so what we've got to do is find a piano to suit the actual posture. This is the important one. This is one that's him sitting on the actual stool, so I want to actually make it so it looks quite realistic that he's actually sitting on the stool, and his feet placement and all this kind of stuff. So there may be a little slight gap of leeway of error here, so I can raise the leg up a little bit and things like that, but basically we've got to make it so that the piano is roughly in the same position as that. Now I'm not going to use a real piano. I'm going to be looking at an organ, because this is the kind of thing that people use when they're doing concerts on stage and everything, like as a band. So what I did is I looked on 3D Warehouse, and I basically found this one, which I quite like. It's the kind of thing you'd probably see if you know that angle. You see it on stage and they'll be bashing away and everything. And the nice thing about this one as well is it's got this big nice arm, which means I can actually raise this up, so I can have it in a seated position and I could have it in a standing position. So when we do the final picture of the band, it's going to be in a standing position. I'll raise this up so we can actually have it in that. So Theodore Roosevelt will be standing up playing the piano. Okay, so this is a starting point. What I did from this point on is I've basically changed the settings so it doesn't look coloured. I want a black and white image that I can use to sketch over. So this is the next stage. I also found a piano stool that I could put in. I've placed it roughly the same kind of angle that this is, like so. Okay, so that's the next stage. Now what I've got to do is I've got to put this out as a kind of a 2D graphic and see if I can fit that set of photographs into it roughly. It doesn't have to be exact, it just needs to be rough. So I basically export this as a 2D graphic. Find Theo. Right, it's already been saved as a thing, but I'm just going to replace it because I think I changed the stool. Okay, so what I'll do is after I've done this, I've got that set up as a graphic. What I'm going to do show you quickly is if I take these figures, like if I just cut around it quickly, like so, copy and paste it into a blank one. Like so, and then I'm just going to get the guy sitting at the piano. I'm going to use his legs. Copy. Paste that in. You see they're all different sizes, which is another problem. You've got to figure out how to change all this. Okay, so that's the last one. It's got three different things, different sizes. Now I'm going to use that one as the main scaling proportion. What I need to do is just basically scale this up to be roughly the same proportion as the guy in the picture. Now I think this is a coat going over there, so I've got to be quite careful to get that right. The best way to do it is judge it by the upper part of the body. See the width there? I think it still needs to be a bit bigger. And so, okay, now he's got to get his bum in the right place. Like so. And just press OK. As I said, it doesn't matter if it's even just remotely correct. I can adjust it when I'm doing the picture part. Now the next bit is the actual legs. Now you see he's got a leg out there and a leg there, but this leg's closer in than that one. But for the time being, I'm just going to make sure it's the right height. And the way we do that is just to evaluate where his crutch is next to his knee. And that's probably about right. Okay. So what we've got in there is the three elements I'm going to be using to set up the actual placement of the character. Now it would be nice if I could try to get this arm as well into that position. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go off camera, I'm going to render this out in high speed and show you how I fix it and everything, so we can actually have a penciled version that I'm going to then place inside the actual drawing, the scan of the organ that we're going to be using. Okay, so that'll be the next stage. Okay, so we've done the first pass of the pencil sketching based on those three pictures, and I've patched it all together, moved things around a little bit. I've still got to move a few things around, but this is not such a bad posture actually. It seems to fit into the placing of the organ quite well. I had to move you can see I've moved the stool back a little bit so he fits better. this leg's a little bit funny, so I'm going to have to raise it up a little bit. I'm just going to do that now, so I'll show you what I'm doing. So I'm going to just cut it here. I'll need a little bit of redrawing, but basically what this needs to do is go up to about maybe there, and this part of the leg needs to come back down again, so I need to basically do that and transform it, so it basically rotates down to about there. So that makes it look a little bit better. Obviously it just needs a little bit of working out and everything, but everything seems to be in the right place. It looks relatively nice. I'm going to have to just do the angle of this a little bit more extreme so it looks more flat to this angle. Okay, but this is where the head's going to go, and I think it's that one. Just to give you a rough idea, I'm just going to copy this head, place it into inside the actual picture. He's not a very happy guy. He always seems to be, if you look at any picture of him, he's always got this look on his face. Seriousness. Okay. It's quite interesting because it gives quite a nice idea about the clothing, which I've got to change slightly. Like, I've got to cut this in a little bit more. I'm going to have the long tails, probably I'll have it coming over his leg like the Abraham Lincoln one, so it cuts around here and then goes over there, down the back of the thing a little bit. Okay, like so. Okay, the legs are relatively good. It seems like it goes into a thin leg, but there's this kind of ruffling at the bottom, so I'll probably add a little bit there different, and have this a little bit different there, but just the actual shoes are okay, and basically the rest is okay. It's just sleeves of a coat, and that's literally the same as that. So all we need to do is mess around with it a little bit. I'll show you that in the next part of the rendering, when I'm actually rendering his caricature as well. Okay, so that's just the first stage of the setup basically. Okay, so we'll move on to the next stage. Okay, this is the final completed image of the Theo Rushmore's portrait caricature. It's just basically Theodore Roosevelt seen here, caricaturized, sitting at a piano, wearing his typical kind of costume that he would wear as a president of the United States. He's starting to practice a new piece for his band. If you look closely, it's actually the Star Spangled Banner, the original one, placed on the actual manuscript. I tried to put as much detail as I could into the actual organ as possible, but it wasn't obviously necessary to do all the lettering and everything, but I tried to make it look as original as possible as the actual organ that I based it on, which was a Yamaha. And finally, just to add a little bit of detail in the corner, I added this little urn and made it a copper urn to give it some kind of colour to the whole thing, because the actual organ's mainly grey and he's obviously vintage black and white, so there wasn't that much colour, so I wanted to have a little bit of colour in there. But that's the finished piece, and I quite like it. Hope you like it as well, and we'll move on to the next one.